Have you ever been generous to your family only to have them throw it back in your face? What would you do if the siblings you helped plan a dream getaway told you, after paying 85% of the bill, that you weren't welcome? Stay with me because what I did next will shock you. My name is Charlotte Hayes and I'm a 28-year-old marketing executive living in Kensington. I've always been the responsible one in my family, the eldest of 4 siblings, the one who got the scholarships, landed the corporate job and somehow became the family's unofficial bank account. But I didn't mind. Really, I didn't. When my younger sister Amelia, we call her Millie, suggested a siblings alone getaway, last March, I was genuinely excited. Just the 4 of us, me, Millie, 24, our brother Oliver, 22, and the baby of the family, Sophie, 20. No parents, no partners, just us reconnecting like we used to before life got complicated. Charlie, Millie said over FaceTime, her eyes sparkling with that enthusiasm she gets when she has a new idea. We need this. When was the last time all 4 of us just existed together? No family dinners with mum interrogating everyone, no Christmas chaos. Just us. He was right. Ever since I'd moved out at 18 for university, our sibling bond had frayed. Oliver was consumed with his final year at E. Sophie was bouncing between fashion internships in Shoreditch, and Millie was navigating her first real job at a PR firm in Canary Wharf. I'm in, I said immediately. Where are we thinking? Barcelona. Sophie's face appeared on the screen as she crashed Millie's call. Or maybe the Amalfi Coast. Ooh, or what about somewhere sunny? Oliver interrupted, his background showing the dim lighting of the university library. I need vitamin D and 0 textbooks. That's my only requirement. We settled on the Algarve in Portugal, golden beaches, stunning cliffs and seafood that would make us forget London's grey skies. The plan was simple. 5 days in early June, staying at a villa with a private pool, splitting everything fairly. Everyone contributes equally, I said firmly during our planning video call. We're all adults now. No one gets a free ride. They all agreed. Emphatically. Here's what they don't tell you about being the successful sibling. Everyone assumes you can afford everything, so they conveniently forget to pay you back. I should have seen the warning signs from the beginning. When it came time to book the villa, no one else's payment would go through. Millie's card was acting weird, Oliver's student account had daily limits, and Sophie was between paychecks. So I put down the £2,400 deposit. I'll transfer you right away, Millie promised. He didn't. Then came the flights. Charlie, can you book mine? I'll pay you back this weekend, said Sophie. Weekend came and went. No payment. Oliver needed me to cover his flight because he had an unexpected car repair. Then the activities. Then the restaurant reservations that required deposits. Then the airport transfers. My business associate credit card took hit after hit. £4,800 for the villa, £1,200 for flights, £600 for the rental car, £450 for the boat tour deposit, £320 for the wine tasting experience, £180 for the welcome groceries I ordered. Total, £7,550. From my siblings, £1,200 total. And that was like pulling teeth. Millie sent £500 after I asked 3 times. Oliver transferred £400 with a message. That's all I can do right now, sorry sis. Sophie contributed £300 and then posted Instagram stories of her shopping haul from Selfridges. I had paid for 85% of a trip that was supposed to be split equally. But I told myself it was fine. I earned more than they did. I was stable. This was my gift to them even if it hadn't been framed that way. We'd have an amazing time and that's what mattered. Right? 3 weeks before the trip I noticed something odd. Our family WhatsApp group, usually buzzing with messages, had gone quiet. Too quiet. Then I saw it, a new group chat. Algarve crew. I wasn't in it. I only knew it existed because Sophie screen shared her phone during a FaceTime call and I glimpsed the notification. When I asked about it she fumbled, oh that's just, for boring logistics stuff. You know, coordinating who's bringing what. Boring logistics for a trip I'd organized and paid for? My stomach twisted but I pushed the feeling down. Don't be paranoid, Charlotte. They're just excited and making plans. 2 weeks before departure, I decided to check in on our shared planning document. A Google Doc where we'd listed activities, restaurants, and daily itineraries. It had been updated significantly, but none of my suggestions remained. The wine tasting I'd booked? Deleted. The coastal hike I'd researched? Gone. Replaced with beach clubs and activities I'd never heard them mention. I messaged the main group. Hey guys, I see the doc has changed quite a bit. Are we still doing the wine tasting? I already paid the deposit. Radio silence for 6 hours. Then Millie, oh yeah, we decided that was too expensive. We'll just drink wine at the Villa. Too expensive. The irony wasn't lost on me. The real knife to my back came the day before our departure that I was packing in my bedroom, carefully folding summer dresses and checking my travel checklist, when Millie called. Quick chat about tomorrow, she said sweetly. Of course. I'm so excited. Are you all packed? Yeah, about that. Her voice had an edge I recognized. The tone she used when she wanted something but was afraid to ask directly. Can you join a video call? Everyone's on. I should have known. I opened my laptop and there they were, Millie, Oliver and Sophie, all in their respective London flats, all looking uncomfortable but unified. That's when I knew something was terribly wrong. Charlotte, Millie began using my full name instead of Charlie. Never a good sign. We wanted to talk to you about the trip. My heart started pounding. Okay. First we all want to say thank you. Like genuinely, thank you for handling so much of the planning and, the financial stuff. We really appreciate you sponsoring almost everything. Sponsoring. As if I'd volunteered for this. You're welcome, I said carefully. Though I'm still expecting everyone to pay me back their shares once we're back. We agreed on splitting costs. Uncomfortable glances bounced between their screens. Right, yes, totally, Oliver jumped in. That's actually part of what we wanted to discuss. Sophie took over, her voice gentle in that condescending way that made me feel like a child being let down easy. Charlie, you're so accomplished. You've got your career sorted, your flat in Kensington, you're doing so well. Better than any of us. Where was this going? We've been talking, Millie continued, and we think this trip might be better as a bonding experience for the three of us. The younger siblings. The words didn't register immediately. What do you mean? We mean. Millie looked at Oliver for support. We think you should sit this one out. The room spun. Sit it out. You're uninvited, Sophie said bluntly, apparently tired of the careful phrasing. Sorry, Charlie, but you're just in a different life stage than us. You've already done all the traveling, the success thing. This trip should be for us to bond without feeling like we're being supervised. Supervised. My voice cracked. I organized this trip. I paid for 85% of it. And we're so grateful. Millie said quickly. That's why we think of it as you sponsoring us. Like a gift from a successful big sister. But you're uninvited. The three of them nodded in unison. I stared at their faces on my screen. Faces I'd known my entire life, faces I'd protected from schoolyard bullies and helped with homework and celebrated every achievement with. And I felt something inside me fundamentally break. You're serious. We talked about it a lot, Oliver said, trying to sound reasonable. You have to understand, Charlie, you make us feel less than. You're always so put together, so successful. We can't relax around you. I make you feel less than. The words tasted bitter. I've done nothing but support all of you. That's kind of the problem, Sophie said. Your support feels like pity. We want to prove we can have a good time without our successful sister overseeing everything. My hands were shaking. So your solution is to take the trip I planned that I paid for and exclude me. When you put it that way it sounds bad, Millie admitted. But Charlotte, be honest, you were probably going to spend the whole trip working on your laptop anyway. You never really switch off. That hurt because it had a grain of truth to it. My work-life balance had always been terrible. Plus, Sophie added, there's genuinely not enough room for all of us to be comfortable. The villa has 4 bedrooms, but one of them is tiny. Someone would have to take the small room, and that someone was going to be you, and we just thought, why should you pay so much to get the worst room? How considerate of you, I said, my voice cold. Charlie, please don't be like this, Millie pleaded. We're still siblings. We still love you. This is just about us needing space to be ourselves. I sat there stunned into silence until Oliver spoke again. So, are we good? You understand. Something crystallized in that moment. A clarity I'd never experienced before. No, I said simply. We're not good. But I understand perfectly. Great. Sophie said, completely missing my tone. So you're okay with? I closed the laptop. For exactly 10 minutes I sat on my bedroom floor and cried. Brupe. Uglikin. The kind where you can't catch your breath and your whole body shakes. Then I stopped. I stood up, washed my face, looked at myself in the mirror and said out loud, absolutely not. They wanted to exclude me? Fine. But they were not going to do it on my dime. I grabbed my phone and opened every relevant app and email account. My fingers flew across the screen with a precision that surprised even me. First, the villa. I called the property management company, explained there had been a family emergency, and requested to change the booking to a different property. Something for one person, I specified. Your most luxurious option available for the same dates. The agent was incredibly helpful. We have a stunning penthouse suite at our premium resort in Quinta do Lago. It features a private infinity pool, beach access, 24-hour concierge and a personal chef service. It's actually the same price as your current villa booking. Perfect. Transfer it. Done. Your confirmation number is. Email it to me. Thank you. Next, the flights. I called the airline and explained I needed to cancel 3 of the 4 tickets due to an emergency. I understand there are cancellation fees, I said calmly. Process them. The 3 tickets were cancelled. The fees would come out of what they owed me, which meant they now owed me nothing and I owed them nothing. My own ticket? I upgraded it. Business class. Why not? Then I called the boat tour company, the wine tasting venue, and every single restaurant I'd made reservations at. I need to modify the party size from 4 to 1. Some were confused. Most were accommodating. All of them made the changes. The rental car company was next. I upgraded from a standard sedan to a convertible Mercedes. And why not? Finally, I drafted a message to the Algarve crew group chat I wasn't supposed to know about. I had Oliver's girlfriend Priya send me screenshots of the chat earlier. She'd always liked me better than my siblings, so I had all their numbers. I created my own group, updated Algarve plans. My message. Hi everyone. After our illuminating conversation today, I've made some changes to ensure we all get exactly what we want from this trip. The villa, flights, rental car and all activities have been modified accordingly. You're all adults now, as you've reminded me, so I'm confident you can sort out your own accommodations and transportation. The original villa is no longer available, I'm afraid. Something about a booking error. Best of luck with your arrangements. I'm sure it won't be difficult to find something last minute in peak season. Enjoy your sibling bonding. I certainly plan to enjoy mine. Charlotte. I hit send. Then I turned off my phone. I didn't turn my phone back on until I was at Heathrow the next morning, checking in for my business class flight. 147 missed calls. 263 unread messages. I scrolled through them while sipping a complimentary champagne in the lounge. Millie. Charlie, what does this mean? Call me now, Millie. Charlotte, this isn't funny, Millie. Where's the villa information? Millie, are you seriously doing this? Oliver. Charlie, I think there's been a misunderstanding, can we talk? Sophie, you're being incredibly immature right now, Sophie. Do you know how expensive last-minute accommodation is? Millie, we can't afford to book anything else. Everything is fully booked. Oliver. Charlie, please, we'll include you on the trip. We were wrong, Millie. You've made your point, okay? You can come, just please send us the villa details, Sophie. I can't believe you're being this petty over a simple misunderstanding. Mom, copied in by them, clearly Charlotte Marie Hayes, what is going on? Your siblings are very upset. Call me immediately. I took another sip of champagne and typed a single response in the group chat. Not a misunderstanding. A boundary. Enjoy your sibling bonding. Then I muted the conversation and boarded my flight. Let me tell you something about luxury. When you've spent years being everyone's financial backup plan, their emergency fund, can you just cover this? Treating yourself feels revolutionary. The penthouse suite was absurd. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Atlantic. A private pool that seemed to spill into the ocean. A kitchen I had no intention of using because the personal chef service was included. My first evening. Chef Antonio prepared fresh grilled sardines. A seafood rice that made me close my eyes in appreciation. and a pastel de nata that tasted like childhood dreams. "You are alone?" he asked kindly, his English accented but clear. "By choice," I said firmly. He smiled. "The best kind of alone." I spent that first night on my terrace, Portuguese wine in hand, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. I'd forgotten existed. For the first time in months, maybe years, my phone wasn't buzzing with requests. Well, it was buzzing. But I was ignoring it. Through Priya, bless her, I learned how my siblings' trip was unfolding. After discovering they had no accommodation, they'd scrambled to find anything available. The only place with 4 beds was a hostel in Faro, 40 kilometers from the beach areas they'd wanted to visit. "It's not even a nice hostel," Priya reported via text. Oliver sent me photos. Bunk beds. Shared bathrooms. Some guy named Trevor from Manchester is apparently very chatty at 2 a.m. They had no rental car because I'd cancelled that too. Public transportation in the Algarve, while existent, wasn't exactly convenient for beach hopping. The boat tour, wine tasting, fancy restaurants, all required deposits they couldn't get refunded, and all were booked under my name. Millie tried to explain to the boat company that they were part of the original party, Priya told me during a voice note. But the company said only the person who booked you could modify it. She actually cried on the phone to them. Did I feel guilty? I examined that question carefully while floating in my private pool. No, I didn't. Here's what I did instead of feeling guilty. I woke up late every single day, something I never allowed myself in London. Chef Antonio prepared breakfast. Fresh fruit, still warm bread, Portuguese cheeses I couldn't pronounce but absolutely devoured. I read 4 novels. 4 books I'd bought months ago and never opened because I was always too busy, too tired, too stressed. I went to the wine tasting alone. The sommelier, a lovely woman named Katerina, treated me like a VIP when she learned I'd come solo. "A woman who knows her own company is a woman who knows wine," she declared, pouring me an exceptional vintage. I met other solo travelers. A German photographer named Klaus who showed me hidden beaches. An Australian doctor named Mel who was between assignments with Médecins Sans Frontières. And a British couple from Camden, Trevor and Nassima, who'd been coming to the Algarve for 15 years. "Your first solo trip?" Nassima asked over dinner at a seafood restaurant in Almondsell. "First time choosing myself," I corrected. "Here's to firsts," Trevor toasted. We became fast friends. They invited me on their boat, a small yacht they chartered annually, and we spent an entire day sailing along the coast, swimming in hidden coves, eating cheese and drinking vinho verde. I took the sunset boat tour I'd originally booked, just me and a young couple from Lisboa on their honeymoon. The captain, sensing I might feel awkward as a third wheel, pointed out dolphins and told stories about the Algarve's history. I went surfing for the first time at Praia do Amado. I was terrible. I didn't care. I got a massage at the resort spa that made me understand why people meditate. I ate lunch at small family-owned Toscas where I was the only tourist, practicing my terrible Portuguese while locals smiled encouragingly. I drove my convertible Mercedes along coastal roads with no destination, just driving for the joy of it. And every evening I sat on my terrace with wine and watched the sunset, feeling something I hadn't felt in years: peace. On day 3 my mother called. I'd been expecting this. Mum had been sending increasingly frantic texts and I'd been sending back brief, breezy responses. "All's well. Having a lovely time. Don't worry." But Evelyn Hayes is not a woman who accepts being put off. "Charlotte Marie, enough of this nonsense. Tell me what's actually happening." I was on my terrace, post-swim, feeling generous enough to have an honest conversation. "What did Millie tell you? That you've had some sort of breakdown and abandoned them in Portugal with no accommodation because you're angry they wanted a siblings-only trip?" I laughed. Actually laughed. "Is that the story? That's not what happened?" I told her everything. The 85% I'd paid. The new group chat I wasn't included in. The video call where they uninvited me from a trip I'd organized and funded. My decision to reclaim what was mine. Silence on the other end. Long silence. I'm process 5. Take your time. Another pause. Then, they uninvited you after you paid for it? 85% of it, yes. And tried to frame it as you sponsoring them? Like I was their rich aunt instead of their sister, yes. I heard her take a deep breath. Charlotte, I'm going to ask you something and I need you to be honest with me. Okay. How long have they been treating you like this? The question hit harder than I expected. What do you mean? Taking advantage of your generosity. Making you feel like your success is somehow a burden to them. How long? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Years, I admitted quietly. But it got worse after I got promoted to senior marketing director. Suddenly, I was too successful to relate to, but also the first person they called when they needed money. And you let them. It wasn't a question. They're my siblings, Mom. I wanted to help. There's helping and there's being used, Charlotte. I'm your mother and I didn't see it clearly until now, but I see it. And I'm furious at them and at myself for not noticing. Mom, it's not. No, let me finish. When your father and I raised you we tried to instill values of family, support, taking care of each other. But somewhere along the way that became an excuse for 3 of my children to exploit the one who'd worked hardest. That's not what I taught. That's not family. I felt tears prickling my eyes. What you did, taking back what was yours, that wasn't cruel or petty. That was self-respect. I'm proud of you. Now I was properly crying. Thank you, I whispered. Enjoy your holiday, darling. You've earned it. Your siblings can figure things out on their own. It's long past time they learned. After we hung up, I sat there for a long while watching the ocean, feeling something shift in my chest. Validation, I realized. That's what that feeling was. Priya continued sending updates, each more absurd than the last. Day 2. Oliver got food poisoning from a dodgy kebab shop near the hostel. He's blaming you, Priya reported. Says the stress of the accommodation situation weakened his immune system. Day 3. Sophie's Instagram stories were a masterclass in fake happiness. Photos of beaches with captions like, "Living our best life." Meanwhile, Priya sent me screenshots of Sophie's private complaints in her close friend's story. This trip is a disaster. Why did Charlie have to be so dramatic? Day 4. They rented bicycles to get to the beach. It was 14 kilometers. In June heat. Millie apparently cried halfway through and had to be picked up by a taxi, leaving the bike on the side of the road. Day 5. The final day. They'd pooled their remaining money for one nice meal, a restaurant I'd originally booked. When they arrived, they were told the reservation was cancelled and the deposit forfeited. Millie actually asked if they could honor the reservation anyway, Priya told me via voice note. The manager said no. She tried to explain you were her sister and there was a family dispute, and the manager just said, the person who paid made the reservation. You are not that person. Then they had to leave. Oliver said it was the most humiliating moment of his life. I wish I could say I felt bad. I didn't. We all flew back to London on the same day, though thankfully not the same flight. I landed at Heathrow refreshed, tanned and carrying gifts for my parents and Priya. I'd bought nothing for my siblings. My phone lit up as soon as I turned off airplane mode. Millie, we need to talk. Family meeting at Mum and Dad's tomorrow. I considered ignoring it. But I was done running from confrontation. Me, what time? The next evening I drove to our family home in Wandsworth, the semi-detached house where we'd all grown up, where Mum still kept our childhood bedrooms relatively intact. I was the last to arrive. They were all in the living room. Mum and Dad on the sofa, my 3 siblings in various chairs, all looking significantly worse for wear. Sunburnt, exhausted and distinctly unhappy. Charlie, Dad said warmly, standing to hug me. You look wonderful. How was your trip? Incredible, I said honestly. Best holiday I've ever had. I saw Sophie's jaw clench. Shall we all sit? Mum suggested, her tone carefully neutral. I took the armchair by the window. The one with the best light, the one we used to fight over as kids. Millie cleared her throat. Charlotte, we wanted to talk about what happened. I'm listening. What you did was. She looked to Oliver for support. It was really hurtful and vindictive. Vindictive. I repeated calmly. You stranded us, Oliver said. We had the worst 5 days because you threw a tantrum. A tantrum, I repeated. Is that what we're calling it? What else would you call it? Sophie challenged. You were upset about being uninvited, so you sabotaged our entire trip. I looked at my parents. Dad was frowning. Mum was watching my siblings with an expression I'd rarely seen. Disappointment. Let me make sure I understand, I said slowly. You planned a trip, agreed everyone would split costs equally, let me pay for 85% of it, then uninvited me the day before we left. And my decision to redirect my bookings and my money to my own solo trip is vindictive. When you put it that way, Millie started. Is there another way to put it? Silence. Charlotte. Oliver tried a different approach, his voice softer. We understand why you were hurt. We do. But we're family. Family forgives each other. Family doesn't leave each other stranded in a foreign country. You're absolutely right, I said. Family doesn't leave each other stranded. Which is why what you did, uninviting me from a trip I organized and funded, is so much worse than anything I did. I didn't strand you. I withdrew my financial support from people who explicitly told me I wasn't welcome. We would have paid you back. Sophie insisted. Would you? I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I've been tracking what you each owe me for the past 3 years. Not just this trip. Every time you've borrowed money and never returned it. Every meal I've covered that you'd get next time. Every Uber you've asked me to book. Shall I read the list? 3 faces went pale. Charlotte, that's not necessary, Dad interjected. I think it is, Mum said quietly. Go ahead, darling. I scrolled through my notes. Millie, £3,200 over 2 years. Oliver, £2,800. Sophie, £4,100. That's not including the Algarve trip. That's just the accumulated, I'll pay you back, that never got paid back. Jesus, Charlie me libreted. You kept a ledger? I kept records. Because I'm responsible. Because I trusted you'd honor your promises. Clearly that was my mistake. So what, you want us to pay you back? Sophie said defensively. We don't have that kind of money just lying around. No, I said firmly. I don't want your money. I want my boundaries respected. I want to stop being treated like an ATM with a sister attached. I want you to understand that your resentment of my success doesn't entitle you to my resources. We don't resent your success. Oliver protested. Then why did you frame my career as a reason to exclude me? Why did you say I make you feel less than? Why did you turn my generosity into something shameful? No one had an answer. Here's what's going to happen, I continued, my voice steady. I'm done being the family bank. I'm done covering costs that won't be repaid. I'm done organizing events I'm not valued at. I love you all, but I love myself more. And I'm choosing myself. That's incredibly selfish, Sophie said. Yes, I agreed. It is. And I'm finally okay with that. Mum spoke up. Your sister isn't being selfish. She's being healthy. And it's about time. Dad nodded his agreement. I've spoken with your mother about this at length. What you 3 did was unacceptable. You took advantage of Charlotte's generosity and then punished her for having what you envied. That's not how we raised you. We didn't mean it like that, Millie said, tears forming. Charlie, we didn't mean to hurt you. We wanted to feel independent. To prove we could do something without your help. Then you should have planned your own trip with your own money, I said simply. Not co-opted mine. We're sorry, Oliver said quietly. Really, truly sorry. I looked at each of them. They did look sorry. Sorry they'd been caught, sorry the consequences had been so immediate, sorry they'd lost access to their convenient funding source. But were they sorry for how they'd treated me? I appreciate the apology, I said. But apologies aren't enough anymore. I need to see change. What kind of change? Millie asked. Respect. Independence. Proof that you value me as a sister, not a sponsor. We do value you. Sophie insisted. Then show me. Not with words. With actions. With time. Change didn't happen overnight. Barely happened at all. In the weeks following the Algarve incident, as it became known in family lore, my siblings tried various approaches to rebuilding our relationship. Millie sent flowers to my office with a card. I'm truly sorry. Let's talk. We did talk. Over coffee in Shoreditch. She cried, apologized again, said she'd been going through things with work stress and had taken it out on me unfairly. I need you to understand something, I told her. Your stress doesn't give you permission to use me. Your struggles don't obligate me to fix them. I know, she said. I know that now. Do you? Because knowing it and changing your behavior are 2 different things. She promised she'd change. She transferred £500 into my account the next day. A fraction of what she owed, but a gesture nonetheless. Oliver took me to lunch near my office. He was more analytical about it, breaking down what had happened like a case study. I think we developed a pattern of learned helplessness with you, he said. You were so competent that we stopped trying to be competent ourselves. That's not an excuse, I pointed out. No, it's an explanation. And I'm working on breaking the pattern. I got a part-time job in addition to my studies. I'm paying my own way now. Good for you. Genuinely. Sophie took the longest to come around. She was angry for weeks, posting vague social media stories about fake family and people who keep scorecards. Finally, our mother intervened. I don't know what was said in that conversation, but Sophie called me crying. I've been jealous of you for so long, she admitted. You're everything I want to be, and instead of working toward it, I just resented you. And that's not fair. That's not who I want to be. Then be someone different, I said softly. You're only 20, sophomore. You have time to become whoever you want to be. But you have to actually put in the work. Will you help me? She asked. Not with money, I mean, but with advice. I don't know, a mentor. That surprised me. You want me to mentor you? I want my big sister back. The one I looked up to before I let jealousy poison everything. We started having monthly coffee dates. Just the two of us. She'd tell me about her work struggles, her relationship issues, her career confusion. And I'd listen, give honest advice, and resist the urge to fix everything for her. It was progress. Slow, sometimes frustrating progress, but progress. The real test came 6 months later. Christmas. Our family has a tradition. Christmas Eve dinner at Mum and Dad's, presents in the morning, then Boxing Day brunch at a restaurant. This was the first major family gathering since the Algarve incident. I almost didn't go. They're expecting you, Mum said on the phone. But I'll understand if you need more time. Do they expect me to pay for Boxing Day brunch? I asked pointedly. Charlotte Marie Hayes, absolutely not. Your father and I are covering it. And before you ask, we've made it very clear to your siblings that this is not a Charlotte-funded holiday. I went. Christmas Eve was awkward at first. We all danced around each other, overly polite, careful not to mention Portugal or money or any of the tensions that had defined our year. But then Oliver broke the ice by doing something unexpected. He handed me an envelope. This isn't a Christmas present, he said. This is what I owe you. All of it. I've been working 2 jobs since September. It took me 4 months, but it's all there. I opened it. A check for £2,800. Oliver. I was genuinely shocked. I'm sorry it took so long. And I'm sorry it took you setting that boundary to make me realize what a leech I'd been. Sophie cleared her throat. I have something too. She handed me a payment schedule on nice cardstock. I can't pay you back all at once like Oliver. But this shows monthly payments of £200 until I've cleared my debt. I've already made the first 2 payments. Check your account. I pulled out my phone. Sure enough, 2 transfers of £200, dated November 1st and December 1st. Sophie, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. You're not a bank. You're my sister. And I've been treating you terribly. Millie was last. She handed me a small box. Inside was a silver bracelet with 4 charms, 4 different flowers. Each flower represents one of us, she explained. The rose is you, classic, beautiful, but with thorns that protect you. I should have respected those thorns instead of constantly trying to cut through them. Millie, this is lovely, but you still owe me £2,700. I know. I'm setting up a payment plan too. £300 a month. But I wanted to give you something that wasn't about money. Something to show you that I see you as more than just our safety net. I looked at the 3 of them, at my parents watching with hopeful eyes, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Like we might actually be a family again. Thank you, I said quietly. All of you. This means more than you know. Dad raised his glass of mulled wine. To new beginnings. And to Charlotte for teaching all of us about boundaries. We drank to that. Here's where things got strange. In February, I was contacted by a production company. Apparently my story had gone viral. I hadn't posted about it publicly. I'm not a social media oversharer. But Priya had shared an anonymous version in a Reddit thread about family drama. Someone had screenshotted it and posted it to Twitter. Then TikTok. Then it was picked up by one of those relationship drama Instagram accounts. The story resonated with thousands of people who saw themselves in my position. The responsible sibling, the family ATM, the one whose success became a burden rather than a celebration. We'd like to do a short documentary about your experience. The producer, a woman named Imogen Chen, explained over coffee in Soho. Family dynamics, financial boundaries, the expectation that successful siblings should subsidize everyone else. It's a story that needs telling. I don't want to embarrass my siblings, I said immediately. We wouldn't use their names. We could even film with you in silhouette if you prefer anonymity. But Charlotte, your story is helping people. The response has been overwhelming. People are finally setting boundaries with their own families because they read about you choosing yourself. I thought about it for a week. Then I called Millie. There's a documentary company that wants to tell my story. Our story really. I wanted you to hear it from me first. Silence. Then, are you going to do it? I don't know. Part of me thinks it could help people. Part of me thinks it's airing dirty laundry. Will you make us look bad? I'll tell the truth. Whether that makes you look bad is on you, not me. Another pause. You should do it. Really? Really? What we did was wrong. If our story helps someone else stand up for themselves, then maybe something good can come from how badly we messed up. Just, can you mention that we've been working on it? That we're trying to be better? I can do that. I filmed the documentary in March. They used my real first name but changed my siblings' names. They interviewed family therapists, financial counselors, and other people who'd experienced similar dynamics. The documentary, titled The Invisible Tax of Success, premiered on BBC Three in May. The response was staggering. Suddenly, everyone was talking about sibling subsidization, and family financial abuse, and success punishment. I did interviews with Radio 4, The Guardian, and even appeared on This Morning with Alison Hammond and Dermot O'Leary. What would you say to people in similar situations? Alison asked me, her warmth making the studio lights feel less intimidating. I'd say your success is not a family resource. It's yours. You earned it. And if your family can't celebrate your achievements without trying to profit from them, that's a them problem, not a you problem. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. The clip went viral. My siblings had mixed reactions. Oliver was proud. You're literally changing how people think about family expectations. That's incredible, Charlie. Sophie was nervous. Everyone at my office has seen it. They know it's about us even though you changed our names. Millie was philosophical. We deserve to be called out. I just wish we'd learned the lesson before you had to teach it so publicly. But the most surprising response came from strangers. I received hundreds of messages from people thanking me. People who'd paid for family weddings they weren't appreciated at. People who'd covered rent for siblings who then resented them for showing off their financial stability. People who'd been made to feel guilty for their success by the very family members who benefited from it. You gave me permission to say no, one woman wrote. For the first time in 15 years I told my brother I couldn't bail him out. It was the hardest and best thing I've ever done. A man from Manchester wrote, I've been the family ATM since I got my first promotion at 23. I'm 41 now. After watching your documentary I sat my siblings down and had the Algarve conversation. It was overdue by 18 years. Thank you. These messages kept me going when the criticism came, and it did come. Not everyone was supportive. Some people thought I was cruel. Family is supposed to support each other, one commenter wrote. You make good money, they don't. That's what family does, help out. Others thought I was privileged for even being in a position to pay for 85% of a holiday. Must be nice to have these kinds of problems, someone tweeted. The worst were the accusations that I was ruining my relationship with my siblings for internet fame. You've made this public, one columnist wrote in a think piece. You've humiliated your family for clicks and views. What kind of sister does that? Those hurt. Not because they were entirely true, but because they contained a grain of validity. Had I damaged my relationship with my siblings by going public? I called Millie to ask her directly. Are you angry that I did the documentary? Do you want the truth? Always. I was angry at first. It felt like you were punishing us again publicly this time. But then I watched it properly, not just looking for how we came across, and I realized, you barely talked about us. You talked about patterns. systems, expectations. You talked about yourself and your journey to boundaries. We were just the catalyst. But people know it's about you. Some people suspect. But Charlotte, we did what we did. We treated you terribly. If that has consequences, even public ones, that's on us. Besides. She laughed softly. Sophie's roommate told her the documentary made her think about how she treats her own successful sister. She actually apologized to her sister for the first time in years. Our mess helped someone. That counts for something. That conversation eased something in me I didn't know was tight. In August, a year after the Algarve incident, Millie texted me, planning another siblings trip. Just us four. No partners, no drama. Would you want to come? I stared at the message for a long time. Before you answer, she added, here are the parameters. Everyone books their own accommodation. Everyone pays their own way. We'll split communal stuff like groceries or a boat rental, but everything is Venmo'd immediately. No debts. No IOS. No expecting you to cover anything. We're all adults with jobs now. We can handle this. Where? I asked. Cornwall. Long weekend in September. Cottages in St. Ives. I've already booked mine. Oliver and Sophie have too. There's one left at the same property if you want it, but no pressure. I called her. Is this real? I asked. Or is this another we'll split costs that ends with me holding the bill? It's real. And Charlie, if we mess this up, you have full permission to walk away. We won't guilt you. We won't blame you. We'll understand. I need that in writing. She laughed. I'll email you a contract if that's what it takes. Please do. She did. She actually sent me a humorous but legally structured sibling trip agreement, stating that all parties would pay their own way, no exceptions, and that I retain the right to withdraw participation at any time without judgment. Oliver and Sophie had both signed it digitally. I signed it too. And I booked the cottage. The Cornwall trip was normal. Beautifully, wonderfully, almost boringly normal. We met at Paddington Station on a Friday morning. Everyone had their own train tickets. Everyone carried their own bags. When we arrived in St. Ives, we walked to our cottages, 4 separate small houses in a row, each with 2 bedrooms and a tiny kitchen, all overlooking Porthmeor Beach. This is adorable, Sophie said, genuinely delighted. We spent the first afternoon settling in, then met at a pub for dinner. When the bill came, Oliver immediately said, splitting 4 ways? And started calculating on his phone. No one looked at me to cover it. No one suggested I had more money so I should pay more. We each transferred our share to Millie, who'd put the card down, within 5 minutes. It was such a small thing. Such a normal thing. But I nearly cried right there in the pub. You okay, Charlie? Sophie asked. Yeah, I said, smiling. Just really happy to be here. That weekend we fell into an easy rhythm. Morning walks on the beach before the tourists arrived. Lunch at different cafes, always splitting the bill. Afternoon activities, surfing lessons, a visit to Tate St. Ives, a boat tour to see the seals, each paying our own way. Evenings we'd cook together, pooling our grocery contributions and making elaborate meals in my cottage since it had the biggest kitchen. One night, after too much Cornish cider, we finally talked about it. I'm sorry we made you the bad guy, Oliver said. Last year, you set a boundary and we acted like you'd betrayed us. We did betray you though, Millie added. First. I shouldn't have kept a ledger, I admitted. That was petty. No, Sophie said firmly. That was smart. If you hadn't, we'd still be telling ourselves we'd only borrowed a little bit here and there. Seeing the actual number was a wake-up call. A necessary one. Do you resent us? Millie asked quietly. For how things were. I thought about it honestly. Sometimes. When I remember how lonely I felt, how used. But then I see how you've changed, actually changed, not just promised to change, and I think, maybe it was worth it. Was it worth it? Oliver challenged. Going nuclear like that? Yes, I said without hesitation. Because nothing else was working. I'd asked nicely. Ideinta. I tried to have conversations. You only heard me when I stopped being available. That says something sad about us, Sophie murmured. It says something sad about a lot of families, I corrected. We're not unique. We just got lucky that we realized it before the damage was permanent. We sat in silence for a moment, listening to the waves crash against the shore. To boundaries, Millie finally said, raising her glass. To respecting them, Oliver added. To second chances, Sophie said. To us, I finished. The messy, complicated, finally figuring it out version of us. We clinked glasses. The changes in my family had ripple effects I didn't anticipate. My parents, inspired by how I'd set boundaries, started setting their own. We're selling the house, Mum announced at Sunday roast in October. What? All four of us said simultaneously. We're downsizing, Dad explained. Moving to a flat in Richmond. We've been maintaining this huge house for years because we thought you'd all want to inherit it, but the truth is, it's too much work and too much space for just the two of us. But this is our childhood home, Millie protested. Which you've all moved out of, Mum pointed out. We're in our early 60s. We want to travel, to live somewhere easier to maintain, to stop being the family headquarters where everyone expects Sunday dinners and holiday gatherings. We'll still do family events, Dad assured us. Just not every week. And not always at our place. You're all adults now. You can host sometimes too. It was a shock. But it was also, right. Good for you, I said, raising my glass of wine. Seriously. You've earned it. My siblings took longer to adjust, but eventually they saw it as Mum and Dad finally prioritizing themselves the way I'd prioritized myself. Sophie started therapy. If I'm going to break the patterns, I need to understand where they came from, she told me over coffee. She'd learned that her jealousy of me stemmed from never feeling like she had her own identity separate from being Charlotte's little sister. Everyone always compared me to you, she explained. Teachers, relatives, even Mum and Dad sometimes. Why can't you be more organized like Charlotte? Charlotte never had this problem. It made me resent you for existing, which is insane, but that's what happened. I never knew that, I said softly. How could you? I never told you. I just let it fester until it poisoned our relationship. Are we okay now? We're getting there. Therapy helps. And honestly, you setting that boundary helped most. It forced me to confront why I was so angry at you for having your act together instead of just getting my own act together. Oliver started his own small business, a consulting firm helping students navigate post-graduation career decisions. When I asked if he needed investment capital, he politely declined. I'm bootstrapping this. If I fail, it'll be my failure. If I succeed, it'll be my success. No offense, Charlie, but I need to do this without your safety net. None taken. I'm proud of you. And I was. Millie got promoted at her PR firm and immediately started a savings account. I never want to be in a position again where I can't afford something basic, she told me. The Algarve disaster was a wake-up call. I'm 26. I should have savings. I should have financial stability. I shouldn't need my big sister to bail me out. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. She started a blog about financial literacy for young professionals. It got a surprising following. You inspired this, she told me. Not just with the boundary setting but with how you've always been financially responsible. I used to think that was boring. Now I realize it's freedom. 1 year after the Cornwall trip, 2 years after the Algarve incident, my siblings did something that genuinely surprised me. They planned a trip. Not for all of us. For me. We're sending you on holiday, Millie announced when they showed up at my flat in Kensington unannounced on a Saturday morning. You're, what? You're going back to Portugal, Oliver said, handing me an envelope. Same resort you stayed at. 1 week. All expenses paid. By us, Sophie added. Well, mostly by us. Mum and Dad contributed too because they wanted to be part of it, but we paid for the majority. I opened the envelope. A full itinerary, hotel confirmation, flight details. All in my name. Why? I asked, genuinely confused. Because you deserved the holiday you planned 2 years ago, Millie said. Because you deserve to be celebrated, not excluded. Because we've spent 2 years learning to be better siblings and we wanted to show you we learned. This is too much. It's not, Oliver interrupted. It's not even close to too much. It's not about the money, Charlie. It's about showing you that we value you, that we see you, that we're sorry not just with words but with actions. When do I leave? I asked, tears already forming. 2 weeks, Sophie said. We cleared it with your work. Don't ask how, but your boss approved the time off. I hugged each of them, crying openly now. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for not giving up on us, Millie whispered back. Going back to Portugal felt like closing a circle. I stayed in the same penthouse suite. Chef Antonio Romalberme. The successful woman who chose herself, he said warmly. You've returned. I have. Alone again? By choice again, I confirmed. But this time felt different. Last time I was running from hurt. This time I was running toward healing. I spent the week doing everything I'd loved the first time but with a lighter heart. I read books without the background hum of resentment. I ate meals without checking my phone for messages from siblings demanding things. I swam in the ocean without the weight of betrayal pressing on my chest. On my last night I sat on the terrace with wine and watched the sunset, the same ritual I'd done 2 years ago. But this time I wasn't alone. My phone rang. A video call. All 3 siblings appeared on screen. We wanted to catch the sunset with you, Millie said. They were together at Sophie's flat in Shoreditch, crowded around her phone, the London evening sky visible behind them. It's not as pretty as yours, Oliver joked. But we're here, Sophie added. That we watched the sunset together, them in London, me in Portugal, connected by screens and by something deeper. A family that had broken and healed, not perfectly but enough. I love you all, I said as the sun dipped below the horizon. We love you too, Charlie, they said in unison. It's been 3 years since the Algarve incident. My relationship with my siblings isn't perfect. We still have moments of tension, misunderstandings, the occasional boundary that needs reinforcing. But it's real now. It's honest. Millie got engaged to a wonderful man named James who works in sustainable architecture. When they asked me to help with wedding planning, I said yes, but on the condition that they had a clear budget and paid for everything themselves. They did. I gave a generous gift at the wedding, but it was a gift, not a bailout. Oliver's consulting business is thriving. He hired 2 employees and rents a small office in Clerkenwell. He paid back every penny he owed me with interest, he insisted on adding. Sophie is now a junior creative director at an advertising agency. She still has moments of comparing herself to me, but she catches herself now. Sorry, that's my old pattern talking, she'll say. We laugh about it. We take an annual siblings trip now. We rotate who plans it, but everyone always pays their own way. Last year was Scotland, Oliver's choice. This year is Italy, Sophie's choice. And next year will be my pick. I'm thinking Iceland. The documentary continues to help people. I still get messages weekly from people who've watched it and found the courage to set boundaries with their own families. I've written a book about it, The Price of Family, Setting Boundaries with the People You Love, which comes out next spring. But the thing I'm most proud of isn't the documentary or the book or even the healed relationships. It's the fact that I've learned to choose myself without guilt. I've learned that love and boundaries aren't opposites. They're partners. I've learned that family should be a place of support, not exploitation. And I've learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been the family ATM? The sibling or child who always pays, always covers, always bails everyone out? Have you ever been made to feel guilty for your success by the very people who benefit from it? Have you ever set a boundary and been called selfish for it? If you answered yes to any of these questions, I want you to know, you're not alone. You're not cruel. You're not wrong. Here's what I want you to ask yourself. What boundaries have you been afraid to set because you didn't want to be labeled the bad guy? What would change in your life if you stopped being everyone's financial safety net? If you could rewrite your family dynamics with honesty and respect at the center, what would that look like? What's one small boundary you could set this week that would honor your own needs? And here's my challenge to you. In the next 7 days, I want you to do one thing that prioritizes yourself over family obligation. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be Algarve-level nuclear. Maybe it's saying no to covering a sibling's dinner without explanation or guilt. Maybe it's not answering the phone when you know it's a call asking for money. Maybe it's having an honest conversation about the pattern you've noticed. Maybe it's simply acknowledging to yourself that you're allowed to keep your success without sharing it with people who don't appreciate it. Whatever it is, do it. Choose yourself. Because here's what I learned in Portugal, sitting on that terrace alone for the first time in years. You can be generous without being used. You can be loving without being exploited. You can be family without being a resource. And you can choose yourself without being selfish. The villa is booked. The flight is scheduled. The boundary is ready to be set. The only question left is, when are you buying the ticket? Remember, Setting boundaries isn't about punishing anyone. It's about protecting yourself. It's about teaching people how to treat you. It's about building relationships based on respect, not resentment. Your family will adjust. Or they won't. Either way, you'll be free. Choose yourself. You've earned it. Share this story with someone who needs permission to set boundaries. Tag me in your boundary-setting victories. Let's start a movement of people who refuse to be the family ATM. Please subscribe, share your opinion in the comments, and tell me, have you ever been in a situation like this before? How did you handle it? Until next time, we learn, we grow, and we support each other.